I used to think love was a fairy tale, that once you found the right person, everything would just fall into place effortlessly. Movies and romance novels had convinced me that real love was all passion, long walks on the beach, and knowing glances across crowded rooms. I thought it was about never fighting and always feeling happy. That belief worked for me when I was younger, but life has a way of teaching you lessons you don't even realize you need. My biggest lesson came when I met Daniel Harper. It was a breezy Saturday afternoon in Savannah, Georgia. My best friend, Jessica Miller, had convinced me to go with her to this little street fair near Forsyth Park. She said the food trucks alone would make it worth it, and she wasn't wrong. The smell of funnel cakes and barbecue filled the air. We walked past stalls selling handmade candles, jewelry, and local artwork. My mind wasn't on romance at all. I'd just gotten out of a long relationship that left me drained and unsure of myself. Dating again wasn't even on my radar. But then I saw him. Daniel was standing at a booth for a local animal rescue, wearing a navy t-shirt and jeans, his sandy blonde hair slightly tousled by the wind. He was leaning down to scratch behind the ears of a big golden retriever that wagged its tail so hard it looked like it might tip over. I don't know if it was the way his eyes lit up when he looked at the dog or the easy smile he had when he noticed me watching, but something about him pulled me in. Jessica noticed me staring and nudged me with her elbow. "Go on," she whispered. "At least pretend you're interested in adopting a dog." I laughed, but before I could talk myself out of it, I walked over. "Beautiful dog," I said, crouching down to pet the retriever. Daniel looked up at me and grinned. "She's a sweetheart. Her name's Molly. We're hoping she finds a home today." I learned that Daniel volunteered with the rescue on weekends and worked as a paramedic during the week. His voice had that calm, steady tone that made you feel instantly safe. We talked about dogs, the fair, and somehow ended up laughing about our shared inability to keep houseplants alive. When I left, he gave me his number, telling me to text him if I ever needed plant care advice or a new four-legged best friend. That first text turned into a coffee date, then another, and another. Daniel wasn't the type to send 100 messages a day or make big, dramatic declarations of love. Instead, he was steady, reliable, the kind of person who would fix your leaky faucet without being asked, or remember how you take your coffee without ever writing it down. After months of whirlwind relationships in my past, Daniel's quiet consistency felt like the safest place I'd ever been. For the first year, everything seemed perfect. We fell into an easy rhythm: Saturday morning farmers markets, Sunday evening dinners with friends, weekday phone calls just to say goodnight. I thought I had finally figured out what it meant to be in a healthy relationship, but then little things started to creep in. It began when I noticed how Daniel would get distant after I made plans without him. If I had a girls' night with Jessica or went out after work with colleagues, he'd be quieter than usual the next day. At first, I assumed he was just tired from work, but the pattern kept repeating. One night, after I came home from Jessica's birthday dinner, he barely spoke to me. When I asked if something was wrong, he shrugged and said, "Nothing. Just didn't hear from you all evening." I brushed it off, telling myself he just cared about me and wanted to know I was safe. But as months went on, I realized I was starting to check my phone constantly when I was out, making sure I responded to his texts right away. I didn't want to give him a reason to feel upset. That's when it hit me. Without realizing it, I was beginning to shape my life around keeping him comfortable, even at the expense of my own freedom. That's the first piece of relationship advice I wish I had known back then. Love should never make you feel smaller. Daniel wasn't trying to control me maliciously. He had been hurt before. His last girlfriend had been distant, and eventually, he found out she'd been seeing someone else. That betrayal had left scars he didn't talk about much. One night, after another tense conversation about me not checking in, I finally asked him, "Do you think I'd cheat on you?" He looked down and said quietly, "I don't know. I thought she wouldn't either." That was the moment I realized another truth. People often bring old wounds into new relationships, and those wounds can shape how they love, how they fear, and how they react. It's not about fixing the other person. It's about understanding them.